Hello, my name's Steve Hayes. I'm with AllSafe Industries, a veteran-owned small business providing technical safety equipment to industry, first responders, and our military. This video series will discuss multi-gas instruments available from AllSafe Industries. The idea here is to provide a brief side-by-side comparison to show you the features and benefits that you might find useful in your next multi-gas instrument. If this video helps you in any way, we would appreciate some help from you. A simple thing you can do is to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will help more people just like you find this video. An even better thing that you can do is to be our customer. We think you'll appreciate our quick customer service and the attention to detail that you're about to see in this video. We offer multiple brands and we provide service and training. Thank you in advance for whatever you decide to do. Before we begin, let's talk about some basics. First, all the various names that we use to talk about gas detection, or gas meters, or gas instruments, or sniffers. Any sort of device that's going to help to test the air that you're about to breathe or work in to ensure your safety. The basic categories of gas detection are single gas meters, 4 gas meters, and multi-gas meters. A single gas meter is just that. It's designed for one sensor to detect one type of gas or a family of gases like combustible gases or volatile organic compounds. 4 gas meters are by far the most popular choice and utilize 3 or 4 sensors to measure the gases that you would most likely encounter in a confined space. They are oxygen, flammables or combustible gases, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen sulfide. Some manufacturers use a combination CO-H2S sensor to keep the meter small and affordable. You can configure your 4 gas meter for use with other sensors, but these 4 are the most widely used. And finally, multi-gas instruments. These meters use between 4 and 7 sensors, depending on the brand, to detect all the gases simultaneously. It is the most advanced out of the ones that we've discussed and the topic of this video series. Let's begin. First, some background. In the late 1990s, the first multi-gas instrument was introduced by combining a 4 gas meter with a PID sensor, a photoionization detector. I'm referring to the MultiRAE by RAE Systems. Because it was first to market, it quickly became the most popular multi-gas instrument available, and now all manufacturers have a multi-gas instrument in their lineup. So in this video series, we'll use the MultiRAE as the basis for comparison to the other multi-gas instruments that are available from AllSafe Industries. In this video series, we'll discuss the following points for each meter: sensor options, sampling options, power options including runtime, the user interface including the display and the buttons, and the different automatic prompts that you might see when you're using the meter, bump tests and calibration options available, software options on how to configure your meter or download data, sharing options, how would you get those readings from your screen on your meter to a computer screen or a cell phone nearby, and finally, unique features between the 2 different meters that we're going to compare. Let's begin. In this multi-gas comparison video, we'll compare the MultiRAE from Honeywell to the MSA Altair 5X. So let's start with sensor options. On your MultiRAE, we have 5 different sensor slots measuring up to 6 gases. The way we're able to do that is that if CO and H2S are 2 of your choices, we can measure those with 1 combination sensor, giving us the ability with 5 sensors to measure 6 gases. We have 25 different sensors that we can choose from, and those would include electrochemical sensors, such as oxygen and toxic gas sensors, a catalytic bead LEL sensor, a PID sensor, and we have 4 different types of PID sensors that we can install in the MultiRAE family, and then IR sensors for both combustible gases and CO2 carbon dioxide. The Altair 5X also has 5 sensor slots measuring up to 6 gases, and the reason is the same. There is a CO H2S combination sensor available from MSA. We have 20 different sensors that we can choose from, and they're the same types of sensors as well. Electrochemical for oxygen and toxics, a catalytic bead for your combustible gases, your LEL readings, a PID sensor, or an infrared sensor to either measure methane or carbon dioxide. For our sampling options, our choices on the MultiRAE are diffusion or pumped. So there is a version of the MultiRAE Lite you could purchase as a diffusion instrument, but not if it has a PID. It would need to be pumped, and then all the other models of the MultiRAE are a pumped version, and they can pull through 100 feet of tubing. The Altair 5X is a pumped instrument, and it can pull through 80 feet of tubing. Our power options include either an alkaline battery pack or a rechargeable battery pack for the MultiRAE. The standard battery runs 12 hours. The extended runtime battery runs 18 hours. We have the same options available on our Altair 5X, an alkaline battery pack or a rechargeable battery pack, giving us 20 hours of runtime. Unless there's a PID sensor installed, that sensor consumes a little bit more power, and so that would reduce our runtime to 13 hours. Let's talk about the user interface. So with the MultiRAE, it's 31 ounces, so almost 2 pounds on the MultiRAE, and 3-button interface. So a power button in the middle, with a Y plus and a no minus for making menu choices and making changes on the instrument. We can also password protect the MultiRAE so that only people that have been trained can get in and make changes to your instrument. It has a monochrome display that we'll see here in just a second when we power up. And then we can program a few different automatic prompts on a MultiRAE. We can have it prompt for a fresh air calibration, a bump check, or a full calibration using our calibration gas. For the Altair 5X, this instrument weighs 16 ounces. It also has 3 buttons, so a power button in the middle and an up and down arrow on the sides, just like on the MultiRAE. And we can also password protect the menus on the Altair 5X. It has your choice of a monochrome display or a full color display. A neat feature, you can even have your company logo programmed into the Altair 5X, and it will come up when you first turn on the meter. Kind of a neat little feature there if you want to spend the money on having your logo on your meter. And then the prompt that we can get from the Altair 5X, and it happens every time we power up the instrument, it's going to prompt us to do a pump stall just to confirm that the pump is working properly. Our bump check and calibrations options, we have menu driven and calibration station for the MultiRAE. So we can run a bump check, we can run a calibration by getting into the menus of the MultiRAE, or we can use the AutoRAE 2 calibration station to run those bump checks and calibrations. With the Altair 5X, we have the same choices. We can perform bump checks and calibrations right from the screen of the instrument. We can also use the Galaxy 2 calibration station to perform those tests automatically. And then one of the features with MSA is it is very low cal gas consumption when we're doing bump checks and calibrations, because it uses a 1/4 liter per minute regulator versus a 1/2 liter and sometimes a full liter of flow for cal gas on the MultiRAE. Your software options include paid and free options for the MultiRAE. We can pay a subscription to have our sensor readings show up on another screen. And then we have a free software program for configuring the instrument, downloading our data files, changing some of our settings. With the Altair 5X, it is a free software program or a free cell phone app using this Bluetooth connectivity. You can see the Bluetooth symbol right on the front of the Altair 5X. And when you download their app to your cell phone, you're able to see the readings from the MSA right there on your cell phone. With the MultiRAE, if you order the MultiRAE as a wireless instrument, it would have a mesh radio card installed, and then you would need additional accessories to then share your sensor readings to another screen that you can share with coworkers or incident command. And then finally, some of the unique features for both. There are 3 different versions of the MultiRAE for price and features. There's a MultiRAE Lite, a MultiRAE Regular, and then the MultiRAE Pro. And the Pro gives us that part per billion range PID sensor and or a gamma radiation sensor. With the MSA, you will find that the Altair 5X has some extended sensor life warranties, so really strong warranty on the Altair 5X. And then they also have a very unique feature, an end of sensor life indicator. So as these sensors start to age, you'll actually get an indication on screen that the sensor's starting to get old and will need to be replaced soon. That gives you the ability to get that sensor on order before it completely fails. Really nice feature there on the Altair 5X. So let's go ahead and power both these meters up and see what the boot up sequence looks like. So both of them have the power button in the middle. You can let go of the button once you hear them beep. The MultiRAE will run a 2 to 3 minute warm-up sequence, and the first minute just says self-test. Over here on the Altair 5X, you can see that splash screen that I had mentioned earlier. If you don't have your own logo installed, of course, you're going to see the MSA logo. And then it goes right into the warm-up. It's given me several details, software version, display, and there's that one and only prompt that we get on an MSA Altair 5X. I have to stall out my pump just to make sure that's working properly. So pump test passed. Pump flow was blocked, pump test passed, and now it's going to go right back into doing its warm-up sequence. Showing me that I have Bluetooth installed, the different gas sensors that are installed. There's my PID sensor measuring VOCs. There's my low alarm set points. There's my high alarm set points on all 5 channels. There's my short-term exposure limit alarms for my toxic sensors. There's my time-weighted average set points for my toxic sensors. There, of course, are my calibration gas settings, including for the PID, my time and date, the last time this instrument was calibrated, when the calibration is going to be due, so it's a 60-day calibration sequence here, and then finally I'm to the last screen as I'm waiting for those sensors to finish warming up. My MultiRAE had started giving me information, same kind of details. We'll run through each sensor that's installed, what my different alarm set points are. Now I'm getting towards the end of the warm-up here where I'm seeing my data logged information, some of those automatic prompts, and then I finally get to the first automatic prompt on a MultiRAE, which is asking me for a fresh air calibration. Now I don't have to do a fresh air calibration. I could certainly use the meter without doing this step. Personally, I like to start with a fresh air calibration, but it's going to trigger a 60-second countdown timer while it's doing the fresh air, and I don't want to use that time on the video, so I'm going to go ahead and say quit and automatically go into regular run mode on my MultiRAE, and you see all my sensors displayed here with their readings and their increments, either reading in percent or in part per million. So let's start with the MultiRAE. If I use my Y+ button, it's just a quick alarm trigger. And so you saw the lights, you heard the buzzer, and it vibrated. It just proves to me that my alarms are working. My power button is in the middle. This arrow button over here toggles me through the different information screens that I can see on my MultiRAE. So if I press the button, my first page is my peak reading screen. This is the highest reading since I've had the meter turned on. If I hit the arrow button again, this is my minimum reading screen. This is the lowest number since I've had the meter turned on. If I hit the arrow button again, this is my short-term exposure limit screen. It has not had enough time to calculate that yet, which is why you're seeing dash marks. If I hit the arrow button again, this is my time-weighted average screen. Stels and time-weighteds only report for toxic gas sensors. Arrow button again gives me date and time. Arrow button again gives me my temperature readout. RAE Systems initially put this on instruments because when you're sampling gases to a sensor that has a glass light bulb included, it's nice that the instrument is at the operating temperature of the gases that you're about to measure. You wouldn't want a very cold instrument measuring hot gases. You could create condensation on that PID lamp, so they have a temperature readout screen here. Battery type, what my voltage is now and what it will be when the meter wants to start doing its power down sequence. Current runtime and previous runtime. And then I love this page here, VOC gas status. This is reminding me that my calibration gas for my VOC sensor was isobutylene. My measurement gas is set to isobutylene. Therefore, my correction factor is a 1. Any number times 1 is the same number. And so there's really no correction factor applied here. If I go into the onboard VOC library and change my measurement gas, you'll see the corresponding correction factor on this screen. I can do the same thing for my LEL gas sensor. My calibration gas is methane, my measurement gas is methane, therefore my correction factor is a 1. And then the last page on a MultiRAE is the communications mode screen. It reminds me that my data logging and my measurement will pause if I enter this screen. So if I say yes, I have my choice of either communicating with a personal computer or the RAE 2 calibration station. So I would use my travel charger with a cable over to my computer to connect to my computer and the software, or I can take the MultiRAE, put it in an RAE 2 cradle for the MultiRAE, and run bump checks or calibrations right from that calibration station. If I drop down to exit and hit select, it takes me back to that intercommunication mode screen. And then if I don't do anything, it will eventually come back to the main gas reading screen, or I can just hit the arrow button one more time, and now I'm back to page 1 where I'm getting my gas detection readings. Over here on the MSA, same type of interface. I've got my up and down arrows, and you can see that I've got bump listed over here and calibration listed over here. If I press the calibration button, it's going to put me into choices I would make to calibrate the instrument. If I hit this button over here, it takes me to the next screen that is available on the display of the Altair 5X. You can also see the blue light flashing because it's waiting to connect to that app that you could download to your cell phone. So again, I'm not going to calibrate right now. If I wanted to run a bump test, I could by pressing the down arrow button, and then it would give me the prompts to begin the bump test. So bump test question mark, yes or no, and I would hit the appropriate button. You can see what's coming next by the menu here on the down arrow button. So my next screen is going to show me my peak readings. And there they are. And you can even see the icon for peak readings. If I hit the button again, I'm going to get my min screen. And I like the way MSA does this, because if all my sensors have started at 0, then really the only sensor that's going to show me a low reading is my oxygen sensor. And so it's given me that reading of 20.8. You can see that my next menu is going to show me my short-term exposure limits. And so that's here with the icon only showing 15 minutes highlighted. If I hit the button again, these are my time-weighted averages, and you can see the icon up here has changed a little bit to show me that longer calculation. My next screen is my date. My next screen shows me my last calibration date. My next screen is labeled Cal Due and shows me when my calibration will be due again. MSA likes you to calibrate every 60 days. My next screen is my VOC gas status screen, and you can see the prompt right here. Change VOC gas question mark. If I wanted to do that, I'd say yes, and it would bring up the library for choosing a different correction factor. If I don't want to do that, I would hit no, and then you can see my next screen is Bluetooth mode. And so I can put my Altair 5X in discovery mode, and then find it using my cell phone or my portable device. I've got my motion sensor next. Right now I've got that set to off, but if I wanted to turn on the motion sensor to monitor a man down situation, I could do that from this screen. And then this is my last screen here before I hit OK, and then come back to the main reading screen. So that's a quick comparison of the information that I would see from the MultiRAE compared to the Altair 5X. The next thing that I want to do is a quick sensor test and pump draw test using 12 feet of tubing. So I have 12 feet of tubing set up for each instrument. With the MSA, it is a quick connect fitting. And so metal fitting for both the pump and for the tubing. You'll just pull the shackle back and then connect it to that metal fitting on the pump inlet. For the MultiRAE, it's a lure fitting. So with lure fittings, you would attach that to the top of the filter. You just want to make sure that the lure fitting is a nice snug fit. You wouldn't want any clean air getting into here and diluting your sample. So make sure you've got a good snug fit when you connect your tubing to your MultiRAE. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to grab the ends of my tubes. I'm just going to use a simple alcohol wipe to trigger the PID sensors and also see how quickly these instruments will draw in the sample. So I'll go ahead and grab the ends of my tubes, hit my start timer, and then start sampling the alcohol vapor coming off of this pad. Starting to see reaction on the sensors. Go ahead and stop that. It's about 13 seconds. Pull the alcohol wipe away. Got up to about 200 over here. I'm 124 part per million here, and now I see them both starting to drop down. The MultiRAE resets the alarm automatically. I have to hit the reset button on my Altair 5X just to let it know that I've acknowledged that high alarm, and you can see that both have recovered fairly equally. I'm at 9. I'm at 11, now I'm at 9 over here. So a very similar response both on the PID sensor, the VOCs, and the time it took to work that sample through 12 feet of tubing, and now the recovery of both of these PID sensors. For more details, I would encourage you to visit the Allsafe Industries website. At the top of the page, you'll click Resources, and then you'll scroll to the gas detection instruments section and then click gas meter comparison chart. Here you'll find information organized by meter type with links for each so that you can also do some price comparisons. Of course, please call us to answer any questions you might have, or to schedule a virtual demonstration, or to request a quote. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, call our toll-free number, or fill out our contact form on our website. We are here to serve you, and we would appreciate having you as a customer. Thank you.